What's good with the YouTube? You already know Big Flacco with a convict's perspective. And what do we do on here? We give a convict's perspective about life, real issues out there in the community, gangs, prisons, and just anything in general, guys. So check it out. I got this new little setup, huh? So today, man, we're going to be discussing about the first time I actually got on gang probation. I think I was about 14, 15 years old, right? So this whole situation started back in the early 90s, right? Back then, the Norteños started to come out really big in smaller cities, where they were not really the dominating forces out there in some communities. Some places like San Jose, they had a heavy presence, Oakland, San Fran, and places like that. But, Milpitas, small towns, they had homeboys, Norteños, but not a lot. It was more predominantly usually other groups or other races. Like I said before, there was a big infusion of Crips that started to be out there in San Jose and Milpitas and so forth. Then there was Bloods, and there was, just gangs in general. I could count about, let me see. At first there wasn't a lot of Norteño Varios, but then all of a sudden there became overnight, like within like 3 or 4. But they had other gangs like that were coming in from San Jose, Filipino gangs, Crips, Bloods. And see, there was a lot of confusions about the difference between Norteños and Bloods. So sometimes you get these Asian Crips or Filipino Crips who would see someone that was wearing red out there, and then they would try to go high side and go bang on them, right? Now, the initial stages started. I wasn't there. I wasn't present, but my dad was, and my brother was there, okay? So right there at Milpitas High, two of my homeboys were walking, right? My homeboy Capone and my homeboy Rascal. Rascal's an Assyrian homeboy, but he was with the shit, right? And probably about 16, 15 years old. And so all of a sudden, a carload of these cats, they were from a gang called Triple S, which was 3 different gangs out there in San Jose, Sunnyvale, and Santa Clara that were Filipino Crips. They tried to go bang on them. And some of these dudes were grown men. And literally, I've heard this from about my homeboy himself told me, the other homeboy told me, my dad told me. My dad, was fucking like your homeboy was just fucking dropping these cats. Like about 4 or 5 dudes tried to rush him. And he basically put hands on all these dudes. He was dropping them left and right. I shit you not. I wasn't there, but my dad told me. And my homeboy was saying that he would be hitting one dude. The dude would come from the side, and he would just ping, ping, and just kick the dude, bam, like that. And it caused tension because these dudes looked hella dumb, And we come to find out, okay, a lot of homeboys had moved out of Selwyn around like the early 90s. So most of us were on Shirley Drive for a minute. But Selwyn used to be like one of the hot spots that we used to be at all the time. But Shirley Drive in the 90s was more where we used to kick it at. Everybody knows that my neighborhood consisted basically of 3 streets: Selwyn, Edsel, Shirley, and then Dempsey Road, right? Right where Oakland's Latinos United, the neighborhood he went through, that's my actual neighborhood. So we'd have different hoods, people from different hoods that come out there, man, that would, there'd be homeboys from San Jose. We'd embrace them. It'd be cool. There was one party crew that tried to start over there called TNS, the new school. We had to run them cats out real quick. And then, anybody that came through, if you were trying to bang or tag, we was on your ass, right? Now, there were some particular Crips over there that were Filipinos. One dude lived there named Sniper, right? Older homeboys had already smashed this dude. Well, he was one of the dudes that tried to rush the homie Rascal, right? So next thing you know, I'm coming from the store, right? And I'm kicking it. There used to be a homeboy from San Jose. Actually, it was 4 apartment complexes in one apartment where all 4 places used to be homeboys. And then eventually one turned into a Baisa house. So this right here would be a homeboy from Milpas. This was a homeboy from Sanjo, and upstairs was a homeboy from Milpas and one from Sanjo. They were brothers, right? And so I used to kick it a lot with a homeboy when I was younger with an individual named Max Chavez from the east side. That's Kojak from East Side Hood's primo. So we used to kick it, drink, post up, and he was a little older than us, so he'd tell us a little bit about YA and about fucking, he was already pushing that city life structure to us, right? But, he'd rock with us. Eventually there were some issues that happened at one time when he pulled a knife on the homeboy Leonard over a joke, but that's another story, though. So I'm young. I'm probably like 14, 15. And we should just always go to the liquor store right there, cheerleaders back in the days. There was the Savers or Thrift Village back in the day. And, they ended up having to block off the alleyway because we used to hit the beer trucks all the time. So they ended up putting fucking gates right there, if you notice, because we were fucking on that shit. We knew every little crease in that neighborhood, man. And so we'd go over there, and at that time, man, I was like 14, 15, but the liquor store would sell me cigarettes or beer. So I go get my pack of GPCs or something like that. Old school, $2 for a pack. Some Meister Brow, like a 12 pack, and we chill, right? So I go to do that, and next thing you know, I think about, it's like early in the morning, like 3 or 4 fucking dudes try to come rush me with some sticks. I go and fucking, I take off and shit, man. And then I go right there, because once I hit fucking Shirley Drive, the motherfuckers retreated, because they'd already tried to get me one other time with some knives right there by Indian Hills. And it was funny because I was talking to a Filipino blood from TNP named Derek Kanabi. He was involved in Derek was involved in the cocktail fucking thing that happened over there in response to when Outlaw Boys shot up TNP at the Great Mall, and the Great Mall opened up. Me and Derek had been cool. I used to kick with a lot of these TNP and RPB cats. So I'm chopping it up with them. And next you know, these fucking Triple S cats come at me and stuff with some knives. And I'm thinking Derek just sits there and shit. He doesn't even act. And I'm thinking this dude's a blood. These guys are Crips, but they're more tripping off me. So as soon as I got the EXO, it was like, okay, so these guys really wanted to get it. And so I go tell Rascal, let's get these motherfuckers. And then the homeboy, Casper, was home from leaving the boys' ranch. He was a little bit older. And then, of course, fucking Max was about 19 years old. I'm like 15. And he's all that, let's fucking go. Fuck it, let's all go. So next thing you know, we go. Fucking, I think Jimbo was there too, from the east side. His pop's name was George. He was an OG truck driver and shit, man. So we had a lot of homeboys over there. So when we get there, these cats were outside and shit. And then as soon as we ran up, these motherfuckers started retreating in the fucking house, all fucking scared, man. Right? I'm like, man, you guys want that action now? What's up? It's like 4-on-4. They wouldn't come out the motherfucking house. So fucking, I won't ever forget this fucking Max Chavez, man, fucking from the east side. This shit was hilarious. He grabs a big fucking boulder and he has a 40 in his fucking hand like this, and he runs and he fucking throws the fucking thing. He goes, it's all my Donkey Kong. He fucking throws it. He fucking falls down. Then he gets up and he runs up with a hit, pulls out a crowbar, and he fucking just cracks it. Bah! Cracks the fucking window open and shit, right? And then the rest of us started trying to rush up on the house, right? You know what I mean? Started fucking up the house and shit. Motherfuckers did not want to come out. You know what I'm saying? They were pulling out knives and all that shit before, and now the numbers are even. And they were older. They were like in their 20s and stuff, man. And so we laughed about it because we thought, okay, these motherfuckers they don't want it. And so about 15 minutes later, now other homeboys are coming out the house. They heard about what happened, so we're all posted on the block. Anybody knows about the 90s right there, Shirley Drive was a hot spot. You go through that neighborhood, you're going to see a whole bunch of homeboys, and they're going to be scattered. I could be kicking it over here at this house with about 4 homeboys. There could be 5 homeboys over here, 3 over here, and that's just how it was. And then you see a bunch of homeboys walking all over the place. And a lot of us back then, we used to have the khaki canes, like the cane. We used to walk around with a cane, because they really couldn't do nothing about it. And all of us would have our banos hanging out. We'd either wear a red or maroon, and we had a couple of things that distinguished us a little bit different from other hoods. Like we used to cut our derby jackets about 3-4 sleeves and then baby cuff them. And then we used to get the fucking belt, and we used to do a crazy ass fucking loop. And that's how you knew you were a mid-battle. You're from mid-boss. And so we're posted up, man. And I think we went to fucking Marty's house maybe at the time. Marty Villalobos, his brother's Payaso, right? Manuel Villalobos. You know what I'm saying? That's his guy. Now everybody knows him from San Jose too. That's what I'm saying. Our neighborhood, we had everybody living in that block. So we go there. He's not there. So we go to leave. And next thing you know, the cops fucking hit us up. Toffee, Officers Kara, and all them cats, right? And so homeboy's on fucking leave from the boys' ranch. He goes up in the house, right? And I remember because he had a fucking broomstick when we rushed the house. And so other homeboys like the homeboy Capone and Grumpy and Puppet, Lubick, Chode, all these homeboys, they weren't there when everything happened. So they have us all hemmed up though. And that's what they used to do a lot. They used to come pull us over, man, and take our pictures. And it'd be fucking embarrassing, man, because it'd be like fucking 4:00. They come, they search us and stuff, and they do a little perimeter check to see if there's any guns or any weapons or whatnot, right? And then they would try to pry us for information. And we had one particular cop that we used to give hell to, which was Officer Corona. You know what I'm saying? Who ended up moving to Hayward PD. Anybody know him? He used to be fucking, we used to call him my beat. Because he used to say, this is my beat. And he was a raza, but he fucking hated fucking Norteños for some reason, man. Him and the homeboy Little Man used to fucking go at it all the time and shit, man. So as we're posted up, fucking here comes fucking Secure, Corona, all these dudes, man. They end up fucking having to sit there, and then they come with a fucking carload, and it's that dude fucking Sniper from SBP, their fucking shock collar leader, right? From Triple S. He fucking points out me and the homeboy fucking Rascal, right? Because he already got, Rascal was there too when we brushed his house, but he's also the dude that knocked out about 4 or 5 of these dudes. Or not knocked out, he dropped them. So fucking here comes fucking Max Chavez at the house with his fucking 40, and he starts fucking laughing at us like this shit, right? Like he's doing all that, right? And all of a sudden, I guess the dude looked over there and noticed him that. So next you know, here comes the cops. They fucking come from fucking both sides and shit. And he's like, oh shit, like, you know what I mean? They end up all of us going to fucking jail. And then we were all fucking drunk. Fucking they put me in the first tank, fucking at the police station, then Rascal. And then here comes Max fucking coming to the window talking shit like, fuck these motherfuckers, man. Like, we were all fucked up, man. And that was my first fucking case for as far as what I got on gang probation. You know what I'm saying? For basically guys for assault with deadly weapons, you know, running up on the house, breaking windows and shit, terrorist threats, and so forth. And that was my controlling case. And the fucked up thing about it was it was these motherfucking cats that fucking were starting the shit. You know what I'm saying? They would try to say if they caught, like, it was mainly me, because I used to live a little bit away from the neighborhood, so I'd have to walk solo. So they would try to catch me slipping when I'm by myself and shit, and I'd get jumped or fucking get in a fight with like about 4 of them and stuff. And it wasn't that bad. They were kind of they were soft. You know, it teaches you how to handle your business. But whenever the numbers were almost fucking even, like if there was 5 of us and 10 of them, they're gonna run from us off top. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen that shit with my own eyes where fucking 7 homeboys fucking rushed about 30 chinos, and those chinos just got fucking smashed. You know, and no disrespect to anybody, but that's just what happened. And so they ended up getting me on gang probation. That's how I got my initial fucking gang affiliations. Then when I went to court, I had the tattoo of Vado Mitpas on the back of my neck. Therefore, they got identified me as a gang member. And therefore, from there on, I had the gang probation department on my ass. You know what I'm saying? The harassment, all the things, the fucking cat mouse games and so forth, man. But, you know, these dudes were supposed to be gangsters at the time. And they were grown men. I think I was only like 14 years old. They're like in their 20s. Yet they're trying to fucking rush up on me because I'm wearing red. Because they thought that Norteños were basically Bloods. You know, there was a lot of that going on at the time where Norteños and Crips were kind of feuding out there in the streets because people had a misconceptions. And sometimes the Africanos would refer to the, Norteños as those essays. And then the Norteños used to fucking clap back in their fucking remarks too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I seen a comment before about they were saying that down south that the Raza were just as racial towards the Africanos. And I believe that to be true because up north, it was the same way. You know, and either you're cool with someone or you wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like our neighborhood, if you were a homeboy, it was you'd have to be plugged in with us to even walk through the neighborhood because you're getting jammed up. And if you were a Crip or anything like that, you'd really have to be plugged into. We had like one homeboy that used to kick it with us tight that was a Crip back then, right? Who became a homeboy and then actually became a fucking hermano later on. Real solid homeboy. But even back then, he was fucking representing Mitpas and shit. You know, there wasn't that presence of homeboys out there in the streets at first. It was basically kind of my generation, and that goes to the other hoods as well, who kind of put the homeboys out there on the map at that time, man. But we were the ones that were getting into it with everybody. It didn't. Everybody fucking, for some reason, man, everybody used to hate on the kid too, man. They were hating on me back then as well, man. You know, it seemed like I was always the one that be fucking walking and shit. Next thing you know, I got fucking to get rolled up on. And then I'd be with my homeboys. We'd go downtown. We'd see the fucking carload of these cats. And next thing you know, we run up on them, motherfuckers would run. But when you see me one-on-one, you want it. Come on, man. It used to be fun, though. That was gang banging. You know, that was my first experience as far as gang probation. You know what I mean? You know, and I think that's when, I have another video about the first time I seen a homeboy get shot. You know, that's when we started seeing a different type of environment of shootings, stabbings, and so forth. You know, it wasn't more along the lines of fucking let's rumble like before, or, one-on-ones or stuff like that. It started to be, we took the gang banging mentality as far as how it was adapting in San Jose and other areas, which was fucking hit these motherfuckers any way you can. You know what I'm saying? When we catch you slipping, we're either going to shoot, we're going to stab, we're going to do whatever we got to do. And for a minute, it was mainly just smashing cats, but then it started to escalate into fucking shootings and so forth, as I've discussed in other spills, man. And, that was the gang banging lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Just at that point, I could see where the homeboys became very predominantly in almost every areas. You know what I mean? That's my personal opinion. You know, there's certain areas where they're not, or they can hold their own, of course, right? But majority of areas became predominantly ran by homeboys. You know, people that were not banging before were now either sympathizing or rocking. You know, that's why you have a lot of homeboys that never banged on the streets as kids. Next thing you know, they go to prison. Next thing you know, they're rocking with the homeboys and they become homeboys. That's just how it was. You know, there's a difference between being a homeboy in prison and county jail. It means you function with the homeboys. You're a northerner. You represent the people, and being a gang member out on the streets. During that time there, you were from your hood first and foremost. Being a norteño was just to identify who you were within that group. You know, no one really cared about like as far as everybody was more about their hood. You know, I mean, there was not that unity push and the carnalismo. It was fucking about who was the biggest, baddest hood out there, who put in more work, you know. And I experienced a lot of that when I went to juvenile hall, the boys' ranch, and so forth, man. A lot of dudes ended up earning my respect when I was in there. You know what I'm saying? I had to do what I had to do as far as fucking, you know, motherfuckers trying to punk you, motherfuckers trying to step to you because you know, you may be from a small town, you may be the only homeboy in a unit. You know what I'm saying? The only homeboy for a year in the boys' ranch from my hood, you know, because most of my homeboys were older, you know, so you're going to go through all that little fucking kid shit, man. The challenges, you know, people testing your heart, seeing where you're at. I went through all that. And I think that kind of made me a different individual when I got out. Like I've always said before, I've never claimed that before when I was 15 or 14 that I was fucking all balls out doing shit. No, I wasn't no punk. I was ready to rock, but I was more just there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it wasn't until later, till my whole demeanor changed to where I became more of a leader, you know, when I was 18, you know, leading the youngsters from being man and rocking out there in the streets and staying strapped up and, you know what I mean, shooting at motherfuckers and stuff like that. I went all balls out at that point. You know, I crossed that threshold to where I didn't know who I was, didn't know what I was doing, but all the shit that I went through when I was in the juvenile system by myself and motherfuckers used to hate. And that's the goddamn truth. And I met a lot of good homeboys that were fucking solid, that I built relationships, you know what I mean? The homeboy Vic from the park, you know what I mean? Rock and all them cats, man. You know, even Big Haps from fucking L&L's, Perez, all them cats. We became cool. Prieto, you know what I'm saying, from fucking 12th Street. You know, I started to build good reports with these dudes that were at first, they were standoffish because I was from a small town. I've never heard no homeboys from you. That's what you did now. And that was how it was, man. And, you know, I think people forget that. And I say this all the time. It's not where you're from, whether you're norteño, sureño, fucking what hood or whatnot. It's who you are as an individual, is what you represent, man. And I used to tell people that, you know, I'm not defining everything or using my hood as a shield. I'm using myself as me to represent who I am. But this is where I'm from. And a lot of my homies, I said, get down just like me. And that was just how the life was at that time, man. You know, I think anybody from San Jose understands what I'm saying. There was always homeboys out there, but that 91 to 96 push is where everything just fucking changed. And the homeboys just became fucking everywhere, just a predominated force. It went from having just maybe 20 gangs out there. The next thing you know, there's like 80, 100 gangs out there. And it was just everybody was rocking, man. And, you know, I ended up on gang probation, you know. And it will, at this time, I think I was 14 years old. I had already been on probation for other shit. Like, I think by the time I was 9 years old, I was already on probation because I used to steal them car emblems. Maybe I was 10. I keep on forgetting. I used to steal those car emblems off Mercedes Benz and stuff. And I got caught trying to run under underpass and shit when my shoes came off. And I was already getting trouble at that time and stuff, man. But this was my first gang offense that I got caught for. And we'd already been involved in a lot of shit at that time, man. You know, a lot of stuff, man. I got some stories about the high school, man, where motherfuckers tried to punk us at the high school. You know what I'm saying? And then next thing you know, I make one fucking call and just two homeboys came and motherfucker pretty much punked the whole fucking, this whole group of fucking, you know, some Pripas and some Africanos and shit, man. And it was hilarious and stuff, man. Anyways, a little story, man. Like I said, I like to go into these personal stories from time to time, man, just to keep it kind of entertaining, man. And just to show you like the real life of who I was at one time as a kid, you know, like as a kid, I was more of a father at this stage and just somebody that was there. You know what I'm saying? And I would listen to, I would retain what was going on. Like Max used to tell us a lot of stories and stuff about his cousin Kojak and, you know, all the other cats from East Side hoods, you know. and there'd be other homeboys that come through the neighborhood as well. Like there was a lot of people that know about this block back in the days. It was homeboy infested. If you were not from the hood, you probably, you know what I'm saying, were from some other neighborhood like San Jose or whatnot. You know. Anyways, real quick spill. Your boy Flacco, Convict's Perspective. Now check this out. Did you see that Cash App, the Venmo, and the PayPal? That's for the Figs book. The Last General Standing, the unedited version, the last one where he's going to give a personal note as well as his autograph, man. Please tap in. We're only doing $5 per raffle on this, man. You know, we appreciate the support for, you know, Fig and everybody else, man. Let's keep this moving. I'm out.